Okay, so welcome everyone. Today is April Fool's Day, so it's a very meaningful holiday for me because I am a fool. So this, in some way, this is my day. And for those people who can also notice their own foolishness, it's also your day. So today we have permission to be a fool. We have permission to be a not perfect human being, whatever that is, whatever that might be. So I thought we'd start today off with a few Buddhist jokes to celebrate the occasion. So the first joke is a knock-knock joke, and I'll need the support of the community in this. Knock knock.
Who's there?
One more time. Knock knock.
Who's there?
No one.
No one who.
So this is a really great Buddhist joke. There's a lot of insight in that. Just because there is a knock and just because there is an answer, just because we experience cause and effect, just because we experience mental phenomena and physical phenomena, it doesn't mean that there is a separate self-entity that is experiencing that. Just because someone comes along and bangs on our door doesn't mean that they are a separate self-entity. Doesn't mean that they are someone. And in the same way, just because we experience these phenomena of depression and anxiety and these cycles we go through, it doesn't mean that there's someone who is afflicted by these cycles, but rather it's a causing conditions. It's like dream interpretation. It doesn't mean anything as long as you wake up. If you cannot wake up, or if you do not wake up, then you will have to understand the dream. You will have to live in it. You will have to exist in it. But if you can detach from the dreaming state, if you can wake up to this immediate experience, then things become much more clear. Okay, I have another Buddhist joke, and I'm sure I could have found more, but these are the only two I have right now. What did the Buddhist monk say to the hot dog vendor?
What did he say?
He said, "Are there any vegan options?" And there's also a version of that joke about make me one with everything. But of course, we have the Zen teaching of not one, not two as well. So we have non-harm, the intention of non-harm, and how powerful that is, right? To bring that into any situation, any condition. And it's like a superpower. The reason that people tend to, like be afraid of animals or dogs. You know, the reason that we are not so comfortable playing with lions and tigers is because we feel that there's an intent to harm in them. But if we can be sure that someone or a being or a situation does not carry any intent to harm us, then we can keep a tiger, we can keep a lion, right? We can play with the elephants. Not a problem, not an issue. So it's also like that inside of ourselves and how we carry ourselves and how we interact with other people. If we can hold that intention to not harm, to not cause any harm, not to be right, not to fix, not to solve, but just I mean no harm. And we can say that, everybody can say that, but it's a practice to be in that state, to be in that way of mind that is has no intention to harm. And in that there's a lot of protection. There's a lot of safety from danger, just in your intention not to harm, socially, environmentally. But we can also bring that back to ourselves, to our own neuroses, to our own habit energies. You know, even everyone has this idealistic, version of being a monk. But even if you go to stay at a monastery and train there, even if it's for the long term, you will have a lot of difficulty for years. I just heard a story from another monk where he was talking about another monk that was training with his teacher at a monastery. And he was having a very difficult rains retreat. At one moment, he actually put his robe over his head and he just screamed. He was so disturbed. He was so upset. And so he
What was
went.
that word you used? Sorry. He was having a what?
He was having a very difficult time.
Okay.
He was having a very difficult time during that rains retreat, during the Vasa retreat program. So that's a 3-month time period every year where monks stay in one place, is really what it traditionally is. They gather together, stay in one place. So that monk who was going through such difficulty, maybe he'd been a monk for a while already, a few years or something, or at least he'd been there for a while. And he went to his teacher and said, "When is this going to get better?" And the teacher said, "In 5 years, it'll be a little bit better." Right?
Is that different than like when like forest meditation? Is that different?
When you use the toilet, you meditate in the
No,
toilet.
no,
When
no,
you,
forest meditation, like meditating in the forest.
what about it?
It is a range retreat because I've never heard this term before.
Okay, so in the time of the Buddha, in the time of the original Siddhartha Gautama Shakyamuni Buddha, um, it's understood that he lived in ancient India about 2,600 years ago. And after his enlightenment, he continued to live as what we would call a monk or a sadhu, a renunciate, a wanderer. And at that original time, there weren't like Buddhist temples or Buddhist monasteries. The monks would sleep under trees. Maybe they would stay at different temples or different small structures would come about, right? And then they could stay there. But it was the tradition that monks were always wandering around, going from tree to tree, going from village to village. You go to one village, they don't give you any food there, or you're living in a forest nearby that village. And after a certain amount of time, you say, okay, I need to eat because I'm getting weak. I need the food for my practice. So you go into the
That's
village.
exactly Thailand.
You go into the village and nobody gives you food. They don't like you there. So you move on. You can't just stay there. You're not going to be knocking on doors, handing out pamphlets, trying to sell Buddha nature or something so that they'll give you some food. So in that process of monks always wandering around, during certain seasons, it was quite dangerous for the monks and also for the general society. So, for example, there would be a season when there's a lot of rain, there's a lot of monsoons, so the ground can be very treacherous. It can be difficult to travel around and go around, and also it said that the monks wandering around like that, they could step on the sprouts of the farmers, right? They could. It was a time of sensitivity, and so the Buddha give this instruction, or this tradition became created for 3 months every year to retreat, to stay at one place, to not travel around, to not go around. And this tradition continues to this day. And that period of time around August, 3 months onward to like October. Um, that was a time when we don't, as monks, we don't wander around, but we just stay at one temple or one place.
Thank you.
But like I said, if you're in the toilet, you meditate in the toilet. If you're depressed, you meditate in the depression. If you're anxious, you meditate in the anxiety. If you're walking outside, you meditate in the walking outside. If you're here in the present moment, you meditate here in the present moment. You come back to your breathing, come back to your direct experience. But a direct experience that is not tangled in previous or future experiences, right? So not dwelling in the sleepy state, not dwelling in the anxious state, not dwelling in the depressive state, but also not seeking for some other special state, some other experience. Because in that seeking, you are binded, you are tangled, you are stuck in this dream, right? If you think it's a good idea to go for a walk, then you get up and you go for a walk, you know? And this is the benefit, or the the idea behind certain structures at meditation centers or monasteries, or in more intensive training with the regular schedule, is that your mind doesn't get to just work things out for itself and make decisions, but you're in a state of no decision. So at this time you show up, you do that, etc., and it's all kind of laid out, it's all stretched out. um, the day is free it gives you the freedom from making decisions or making choices, and in this way you become more aware of your mind and the flexibility of your mind. So let's practice some meditation together. Why don't we find a upright position for our body that is comfortable and stable? Notice the breathing that's happening. Notice the body breathing. and begin to feed or support, to fuel this mind of the wish to awaken, to be clear, to see through. And be with that mind, that brightness, that clarity of breathing, that clarity of just being. And kind of notice how secondary the past and the future are in that. The plans, the relationships, the expectations, all these things that you rely on in the mind. Notice how secondary all of that is to this experience of breathing and the brightening of the mind to wake up, to free, to just be here. Notice how easily and naturally those thoughts fade away in meditation. Notice how irrelevant everything is. And not clinging to meditating, but not about meditating or not meditating. So it is not by force that we practice our meditation, but rather by ease, openness, and returning. Whatever experience arise in the body or whatever experience arise in the mind, it is naturally untangling itself. We don't need to apply very much effort coming back to the breathing, and any thought that stands out, turn that thought around and perceive the awareness itself. And then allow that awareness itself to flow, just as the breathing flows. With your concentration, with your awareness of breathing, fill the entire body and fill the entire mind with kindness, without exception. And allow any pain or any conflicted thought to be this invitation for an outpouring or an inpouring of kindness. We may need to exaggerate our breath to bring that kindness into the more difficult places, but we can do it. Kindness without discrimination, without judgment, without control. Offer that kindfulness to everything. Okay, at this time we are all invited to stand up. You may stand up and let your body hang, let your body be loose, but also you can stand firmly and gently and follow the breathing as it flows in and flows out. As you are standing, you can let any tension in the body relax. Really notice anywhere there is tension or tightness and release that, relax that. If you're comfortable, you can also let your body fold over. So standing up and let your body, or if you're sitting down, you can do this too, and just let your whole body fold over and hang down loosely. Okay, let's come back to our seats. So in sitting and aware of our breathing, instead of relying on thought, story, words, and phrases, you can rely on the direct experience of the sensations in your body. Explore, look at, be with the direct experience of sensations in your body. be aware of the formations of thoughts that arise in the mind, just in the same way that you are aware of the arising of feelings or sensations in the body. Notice how empty those sensations or feelings in the body are in terms of any meaning, in terms of any major importance. And apply this quality of noticing also to the thoughts, narratives, words, and stories that appear in the mind. We will now practice guided metta meditation. So please repeat after me with either your mental voice, or you can also speak it aloud to yourself. This is the loving kindness turning phrases. So please repeat after me. And I, in this case, is you. May I be well, happy, and peaceful. May I be well, happy, and peaceful. May I overcome the barriers in my life. May I overcome the barriers in my life. May I, from now on, be free from all difficulties. May I, from now on, be free from all difficulties. May I be healthy and feel safe all the time. May I be healthy and feel safe all the time. May I overcome all challenges in my life. May I become truly successful. May I be at peace. May I be at peace. May those ones that I like be happy and safe. May those ones that I love be happy and safe. May those that I love be happy and safe. May those that I barely know be happy and safe. May those that I barely know be happy and safe. May those that I have difficulties with be happy and safe. May those that I fear be happy and safe. May those that I really do not like be happy and safe. May all the goodness that I have generated in my practice be shared with others. May all of the peace that I have generated in my practice be shared with others. May all of my health, wealth, blessings, and happiness be shared with all beings. May all of my health, wealth, blessings, and happiness be shared with all beings. May all of my health, wealth, happiness, and blessings be shared with all beings. May those who are angry be free from anger. May those who are greedy be free from greed. May those who are delusional be freed from delusion. May wisdom prevail. May it be. May it be. May it truly, truly be. So we can all take a deep bow. That is our guided meditation and April Fool's Day celebration. But if anyone would like to ask any questions, you are welcome to leave them in the YouTube chat or also here on Discord. If anyone has any questions, please do share.
Bhante, I have a quick question.
Okay, go ahead.
I was wondering if there is a better or certain way to greet a monk. Because I know that we do these meditations and things quite regularly. And I'm wondering if there's hello or good morning is the right way that we should be talking to you, or if there's something better we should be saying.
Well, usually in Buddhist circles, you will greet the monk by bowing to them. And if it's like something like this, we're in a meditation group together. So you can come in and bow if that's convenient, and then just get to it, right? Get to the sitting. And that's the right way to, to join any meditation themed event, whether it's a monk or not, um, just so you can really get the most out of it and have the most clarity to see if this is something that can serve you or not. Um, so yeah, just focusing one pointedly, and it's always nice if we can bow to each other. I've got, I've got kind of a diverse training, so in Myanmar or Thailand, the monks, it's like you're supposed to bow to the monk when you see them or meet them, and the monks are supposed to not bow back. But then of course in the Plum Village, the Thich Nhat Hanh tradition, they don't have that. Um, everyone bows to each other, and that's what I'm used to. I think the most important thing is just, we come in and we all have the best of intention to be here and to practice and to, focus one pointedly as much as we can. Um, and then I think that's ideal.
I have a follow-up question.
Okay. Nicole, is that all right with you?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to ask. Thank you so much.
Okay. Yeah, Josh?
Yeah, so I just want to confirm, is it okay to satu in the presence of a monk, or is it better to bow?
I wouldn't say that I know the specifics about that. Yeah, usually we just bow. Usually, sadhu, I think anyone can say that to some degree. It's like, well done,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, yeah, it's basically like, well done. My wife told me every time there's a monk, you should satu to show respect.
Yeah, it's a very deep and interesting culture, that we're kind of connected with. All of us as practitioners in with the Buddhist community, and really, I think, like in terms of forms or uh, like ways of interacting with the monk in the right way. At least here, this is like our space. This is like our open community space that it mostly has Western people here. And so, as long as the intention is right and the mindset is right, you're good to go. Because this is kind of a more formally informal space, something like that. But if you go, to Sri Lanka or Thailand, or you go to temples like that, then the lay people there, they will teach you about how to, interact with a monk and what's appropriate and what's not. And that's, if you have that mindset, like Nicole, what you shared, then you'll be ready to learn that technique, and then you can use it at the appropriate time. And then you can say, oh, I really like this. And then you can use that more if that's what you want to do. There's a there's a very good point about like what the robe represents, what the monk represents. And yesterday we read a little bit from that Tibetan text, and they were talking about guru yoga, um, and like seeing your teacher, or seeing if you have a teacher, see them as high as you can see them. See them as just complete wisdom, just complete freedom, just complete compassion, because then you're bringing yourself closer to that side of yourself. You're seeing that is a realistic way to see, rather than our like tendency to see in a cynical way or a critical way, right? Um, and the monks kind of represent that in some sense. So we can also, like, we pay respect to the monk, we put them on a very high pedestal, just so that we can put ourselves on a high pedestal, or put the Buddha on a high pedestal, just so that the path has a certain way forward. you know. And for me, I know that this sometimes is a problem, but for me, I say bring your common sense with you wherever you go, and use your feel and your think so, and keep yourself in that like independence, but also know how to use all these different models and different ways of approach. Because really, who we need to trust ourselves. We need to trust our Buddha nature. We need to trust our own capacity to be free in any situation. Even everything falls apart. We trust ourselves that we can endure, that we can transform, that we can be at peace even in that. And then the trust that we have for others is more practical, and it's more like a kind of generosity rather than an entanglement, right? Like, it's there's a certain separation between monks and lay people, and that's very helpful because it's like um, your trust can be applied in relationship to the monk concerned with the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, concerned with meditation and wisdom and virtue and generosity. And that's all that it goes to. And anything else is just, you know, um, something on the side that's not the priority. It's not the most important point. And so that's actually where our trust is with each other as practitioners, is that the priority is on the path, it's on the practice, it's on um, trying to help each other, and trying to make use of whatever comes up to continue on the path. And so we trust each other to do that. And then rather than um, like, this person's ahead, this person's behind, we're just walking parallel. We're walking on the path parallel, and there's different forms and there's different cases, that come up, and we just use them to continue walking parallel. Like in this case, I use being a teacher or a speaker. You use being a listener, but these inter-are, and it's not done with attachment. I'm the student,
I have a question
I'm the
about the
teacher.
walking in parallel.
What's that?
I have a question about the walking in
Go
parallel.
ahead.
So in Thailand, the monk says to stay center. Like, what does that mean? I'm always confused when they say that. I don't know what it means.
I don't know precisely what that monk is talking about, but it means come back to center, come back to present, come back to balance. I think a lot of people, I know myself, I have an addiction to stimulation, something to be stimulating, something to be engaging. And of course, my self character, right? The character of me, it wants pleasurable, helpful, beneficial things, right? And it doesn't want things that are stressful or turmoil, right? But that grasping, or that tendency to like have stimulation or experiences, right, or tension, some kind of contraction, that applies to both, right? So learning how to just come back to center, come back to that balance point, coming back to that like ordinariness. Not a good person, not a bad person, not depressed, not on an up streak, not on a down streak, but just ordinary. And then from that center, from that ordinary, that's your practice. That's your stepping
That
forward
makes a
point,
lot of sense.
right?
I was taking it so literally, I got confused.
When we learn to not be confused by confusion, then we will be much less confused much less often. When we learn to not be depressed about depression, not to be anxious about anxiety, not to be angry about anger, then it naturally decreases because we don't feed it, we don't involve with it so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, that's all for today. April Fools, everybody, and see you again next time. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Awesome.